All right, folks, welcome back. We are here with another episode of the College of Arts and Humanities show. Today I'm here with Dr. Powers?
Correct.
Yes,
indeed.
Dr. Powers. You're from the history department.
I am, yes. Happy to be here
So
with you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, we left history department, folks. We had
Yeah.
Dr. Archer and Dr. Pierce
Great.
before spring break, and they were fabulous.
Yeah.
But
See if I can carry the torch.
yeah, they...
Set the bar high.
They did. They set the bar pretty high.
That's good.
But you're here to talk about, you have a lecture series.
Yes, yeah. So,
it's-
we are gearing up as a country for the 250th anniversary of American independence, with the Declaration of Independence being signed there in early July of 1776. So that was right at 250 years ago.
Yeah.
So there's stuff all throughout the country. Different states and communities are doing that. And San Angelo and the Concho Valley are no exception. So the talk I'm promoting and telling you about today is part of that broader series. That broader series we've called USA 250th and Texas, the Concho Valley commemorates U.S. independence.
Interesting. And so we have, obviously you've given me a flyer. If they would like to go, where is this? When is this?
Yeah, so right out of the gate, it is going to be March 26th at 6 p.m. in the Carr Building, room 101. So you students out there are probably familiar with your campus maps. Just throw it into, Angelo's website and you'll find it. The Carr Building is where the Ed Department's located, where the music.
Okay,
a lot
it's
of
the
the
Fine
music.
Arts Building.
Yeah, it's the Fine Arts Building. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's right there on.
It's like right over by the UC.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very
It's
close
like,
to the UC.
It's like to the left of the UC, facing the library.
Yep.
We can try to geographize about it.
Yeah, you can sort it out.
Yeah, until the end of days. But this is part of a 5th annual series. So have we been doing lectures like this for a long time?
We have. So I mentioned that this particular talk is kind of we're killing two birds with one stone, so to speak. So this USA 250th and Texas lecture series, we've had one of those each month starting in January. Since January of 2026 would be the beginning of the 250th anniversary. So we've had one in January with Dr. Archer, looking at the origin of the American Revolution. We had one in February, looking at how the American Revolution played out in the West, like the Appalachian Mountains and the
that's
Mississippi
interesting.
River.
You don't really hear much about that.
I know, yeah. So that was a really cool one. And we've had great participation and attendance. So lots of students have been coming and a good bit of community members also. So all that to say that this one here in March is continuing that monthly focus on topics on the American Revolution.
Okay.
But since, as you said, this is a part of the Lonestar lecture series, we've also folded this in to this annual lecture series the history department does each year. So basically, listeners might be familiar with the English department does the Writers' Conference. That's kind of their bellwether annual event.
I believe they've got Colson Whitehead this year.
Yeah, it's going to be really awesome. I'm excited about that. The history department's kind of annual, more public-facing event, similar to the Writers' Conference, but for the history one, it's this Lonestar lecture series, because in March, that's when Texas independence was signed, and the Battle of the Alamo occurred.
Yeah.
So we were kind of thinking 5 years ago as a department, all right, what month could we try to bring in a scholar to give a talk every year on anything relating with Texas history? It doesn't have to be about the Texas Revolution. So we settled on March, since that's a pretty historically significant time.
Very thematic.
Yeah, that's right. So this one is our 5th annual Lonestar Lecture Series. And past talks have looked at, like, prostitution in the 1930s in Texas. Some on, like, immigration in the 1870s.
Yeah.
Last year's talk was Native Americans really early on in colonial Spanish Texas.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and so we try to have a different era of Texas history and a different theme each year. And this year is looking at the American Revolution.
Okay, so it's like Texas. Obviously, we didn't participate that. We were still part of Mexico in 1776, but sort of like how we're connected to it.
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
So what's neat is, as you're highlighting, this is an era that isn't as well known of Texas history. So during the American Revolution, Texas was part of the Spanish colony of what they called New Spain.
Yeah.
Right? So the British call some of their areas New England. The Spanish will call the far northern fringes of their empire New Spain, which includes modern-day Mexico and modern-day Texas. And what else is really neat is when we think of Louisiana, don't want to put you on the spot too much, but when we think of Louisiana, what imperial power, like European power, like founded Louisiana?
The French.
The French, yeah. So we normally think of the Louisiana Purchase, the French, New Orleans, all that. But the Spanish control Louisiana during the American Revolution. And that means that the boundary between Texas and Louisiana is really fluid. So lots of Texans are going to and from New Orleans because it's all Spain.
Yeah.
And then where Louisiana ends, the British begins because the British have the Floridas in this period. So Florida actually Britain actually controls Florida for a hot second as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it's an interesting, I really like video games and board games. Like, this is the American Revolution, we sometimes tend to forget, is just a big global power play of different empires trying to snatch up territory like you're playing Risk or a Call of Duty game.
It's kind of like coming on from the 7 Years' War, right?
Absolutely.
Which really is one of the first global conflicts that really pulls the Americas into.
That's right.
In the United States we call it the French and Indian War, but it's the 7 Years' War.
That's right.
And so you see, with the American Revolution, once we get, the French involved and the Spanish involved, and they're doing it to spite Britain. It's very interesting, to see other perspectives from other places that were controlled by their imperial powers.
That's right.
So, how does someone in Mexico feel about the American Revolution and the Spanish actively helping in that?
That's right, yeah.
But still being sort of your colonial overlords, if you will.
Yeah, because the French alliance with the United States is pretty well known with Marquis de Lafayette, and they send over the French ships. But Spain will also fight the British during the American Revolution. So the talk on March 26th, 6 p.m. here in the Carr Fine Arts Building 101, that main auditorium, it'll talk about kind of the long reverberations of how these ideas of liberty and equality, and think of the stirring words of the Declaration of Independence, how those ideas motivate Mexicanos in Tejas during Mexican independence.
Yes.
So when Mexico begins its independence movements in 1810, it has lots of support in the Spanish province of Tejas. So San Antonio overthrows the Spanish royal governor once Padre Hidalgo rings the bells and everything. So Mexicanos, Tejanos, they're all the same in this era because there is no Texas yet, obviously.
Yeah.
But basically, sometimes they look to the American Revolution for inspiration.
Well, I know a lot of Central American stuff is sort of inspired by, and obviously you have, going back to the French, their entire revolution is inspired, I would say, to a degree.
Yeah, the Declaration of Rights of Man is kind of a French spin on the American Declaration of Independence. Yeah, it's all very Enlightenment.
Yes.
So,
it's all very intellectual at that point.
That's right. Yeah, and so as we know, ideas do not know boundaries.
No,
ideas spread across borders, just
do.
like today with the internet and just culture and music. Those don't stop at borders. So the American Revolution, this idea of liberty and equality, the talk on March 26th at 6. We'll explore that in a lot of different ways.
Well, if you want to hear more about it, come to the talk.
Yes, absolutely.
Dr. Benjamin Johnson from Loyola Chicago. Fabulous university.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be very interesting. We'll love to see you there.
He is a author of a really recently published book that's been well received called Texas and American History.
Oh, fun.
So a big impetus of the Lonestar Lecture Series is to bring in a well-known, a well-regarded historian who focuses on Texas, but often who tends to be at an institution maybe outside of the state.
Okay.
And so we've brought in scholars, historians from Duke, from different places, and he's coming, as you say, from Chicago. So all that to say, we'll be hearing, for those that are able to come to the talk, one of the experts on Texas history that has published one of the more recent books on how Texas folds into the American past.
Fabulous. So obviously you came here to talk about this. Mm-hmm. I do want to. I promise I ask all the history professors and everyone. What drove, like, this is a completely different question.
All right.
What kind of drew you to teaching and teaching history specifically?
Yeah, so I think history is a lot of things, but at its core, it's about human stories. Mm-hmm. And history, by definition, is dramatic, right?
Yes.
So, like,
incredibly.
Yeah, so it's the human past. So I always tell people if you like movies and you like, plays, and who doesn't, like, then you're going to like history. It's just finding the type of history for you.
Precisely.
So all that to say, when I grew up and was young, I was really close to my grandparents, and I just soaked in a lot of their stories. Like, what was it like to live in the 1950s?
Yeah.
Or, like, my grandmother could even remember, she was young, but it stuck with her, like Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
And so an interest in the past was sparked by my own family. Mm-hmm. And I think that's how a lot of people come to history, is sometimes people are drawn to their family ties and their family heritage. So I was no exception there. And then, so that was an interest in history for me. And then I pretty quickly got interested in the Civil War.
Yeah.
Because in my opinion, and Dr. Archer and Dr. Pierce might disagree a bit, but that's what makes history fun. In my opinion, the Civil War is the most dramatic of all the dramatic moments of American history. Just how back and forth it was, how interesting it was. So I really latched on to Civil War history. And then going through grad school, morphed a bit into a little bit later, so a decade or two after the Civil War. Because one thing about, as students listening know, is if you're doing any type of project or research paper, ideally you're doing something somewhat new.
Yeah.
You don't want to just do another paper on Abraham Lincoln. We've already got a lot of those. So the Civil War is kind of saturated. Mm-hmm. And so to do something new, I shifted just a little bit beyond Appomattox.
So you're going kind of like into that like early Gilded Age area?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The overlap of Reconstruction and the Gilded Age. So the classes I teach some of the Civil War, but I'm also into that Gilded Age.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have, this is a loaded question, do you have strong opinions about Andrew Johnson?
Andrew Johnson?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So historically, he's very consequential.
Yes.
Right? So consequential, meaning he does lots of things that have a big impact, whether that is good or bad.
Yes.
Can be controversial.
Yeah.
But I would say that a lasting truth of American history is, civil rights, liberty and justice for all. Right?
Yeah.
Liberty and justice for all. We say that in the pledge. Oftentimes, Andrew Johnson worked against those.
Yes.
So Andrew Johnson, nobody's perfect. Johnson had some policies that perhaps weren't malignant, but his most lasting legacy would often be opposing things like voting rights or civil rights. Mm-hmm.
Well, I know we talk about, I know a lot of people kind of fantasize about what happens if Lincoln does not get assassinated, right? And like what happens with Reconstruction and how does that change America in the 1870s and 1880s? And obviously we will never know.
Yeah.
The only thing we can know is what happened. But it kind of strikes me that you get Andrew Johnson immediately afterwards, who goes like basically the opposite direction I think Lincoln was going.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know. Presidents are very interesting to me.
Yeah, that's right.
They're like singular people that kind of stand at the forefront of points of time in America. So I can't really escape them.
Yeah. That's right.
One last thing before we let you go. What's your background? Where are you from? Where'd you go to college?
Yeah. So I grew up in Florida, but I grew up in the north part of Florida, which Florida kind of cultural geography is interesting. The more north you go in Florida, the more like southern culture it is. So North Florida, where I grew up, is more South Georgia than South Beach. South Beach is in Miami, right? So I grew up, I would say, in like southern culture. Like, Texas is similar. Even think of like East Texas. Like East Texas more, quote, the South.
Yeah.
Where here we're more, quote, the West. So I would say I grew up in the South in Florida. Yet Florida was really, and still is, really diverse and multicultural.
Yes.
So I grew up among a lot of diversity, and that kind of made me appreciate the complexities of the past.
Yeah.
So I went to the University of Florida. I did public school all throughout my education. So public school, elementary, middle, and high school. And then I went to a public university, University of Florida. And then from there, I knew I wanted to be a history professor, but easier said than done.
Definitely.
And so I did my master's at Clemson University in South Carolina.
Wow.
And then PhD at the University of Arkansas. So traveled around a bit. So
you stayed in the South.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
a lot of good football, though.
That's true.
Especially Clemson.
Yeah. Football and food, I followed that.
Oh, yeah. Wait, well wishes for Florida in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
That's also happening.
It is. Well, I must say, we actually lost yesterday.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so
if
sorry.
If our listeners had some brackets going, Florida was kind of a attractive pick, but we let folks down. But no worries. We won last year, so I can't be too picky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's it. Make sure to go to this. Make sure to go see Dr. Johnson.
Yep.
Thursday the 26th, 6 p.m., car room 101.
That's right.
Be there. It'll be cool. They're going to talk about a whole lot of interesting stuff and things and fun topics.
Often a good bit of extra credit for history classes.
Absolutely, yes.
And something easy if, you're running around, you can't quite remember that date. An easy website to look at is angelo.edu/Lonestar.
Yeah.
And that takes you to the event page.
Directly to there.
So,
fabulous.
Yep.
Okay, well, we're running out of time. Do you have anything you want to leave our listeners with? Any final thoughts?
No, that's it. I appreciate the time and enjoyed chatting with you.
Well, we love having people here, so we will see you guys next time.
Yeah.
I believe it'll be. Actually, I'm not going to say who it'll be. I'm not going to put myself in a box.
Yeah.
But we'll probably have another one this week. Thank you guys so much for watching, listening. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.